Before you scroll away, before you shut down, before you whisper to yourself, I can't do this anymore, I need you to lean in and hear this. This is not an accident. This moment is not random. You didn't just click on this by coincidence. You're tired. You're frustrated. You've prayed prayers that feel like they hit the ceiling and fell back down. You've worked hard and seen little return. You've believed for change, but the situation hasn't moved. And now you're standing at the edge of giving up. But what if the pressure you feel isn't a sign to quit? What if it's proof that you're closer than you think? Sometimes the breaking point is actually the turning point. You say, I've tried. God says, try one more time. You say, it's too heavy. God says, I built you stronger than you know. You say, the door is closed. God says, watch what I do with closed doors. You're measuring your future based on your current feelings. But feelings are temporary. The promise over your life is not. You think this struggle disqualifies you. But what if it's developing you? What if the delay is building muscles in you that comfort never could? Diamonds don't form in comfort. Muscles don't grow without resistance. Faith doesn't expand without uncertainty. You're asking, why is this so hard? Because easy doesn't prepare you for destiny. You feel overlooked, forgotten, unnoticed. But just because you can't see movement doesn't mean nothing is happening. Roots grow underground before fruit appears above ground. Just because you don't see growth doesn't mean you're not growing. You're in a season of becoming. And becoming is uncomfortable. The enemy wants you exhausted enough to quit right before breakthrough. He wants you discouraged enough to abandon what you prayed for. But what if the very thing you're thinking about walking away from is the miracle you asked for? What if this is the chapter where your faith gets louder than your fear? You don't need all the answers. You just need the next step. Stop trying to see the whole staircase. Take one step, then another, then another. Faith is not about having full clarity. It's about having full trust. You survived things that should have broken you. You made it through seasons you thought would destroy you. Why would you stop now? Why would you quit 5 minutes before the shift? This is not the end of your story. This is the tension before transformation. The shaking before settling. The stretching before expansion. And yes, you're stretched. Yes, you're tired. Yes, you've cried about it. But you're still here. And if you're still here, God is not finished. The setback didn't stop you. The rejection didn't define you. The delay didn't deny you. It prepared you. Stop calling it failure. Start calling it formation. There is strength being built in you that comfort could never create. There is resilience forming in you that applause could never produce. There is depth growing in you that quick success would have robbed from you. You are not behind. You are being positioned. And the same God who carried you this far will not drop you now. So before you give up, breathe. Before you walk away, pray one more time. Before you decide it's over, believe one more time. Because what's coming is bigger than what's been. What's ahead is stronger than what's behind. And the pressure you feel is not proof that you're failing, it's proof that something powerful is being born. Hold on. Not because it's easy, but because it's worth it. The moment you feel like quitting is often the exact moment something is shifting in your favor. It doesn't feel like that, though. It feels like exhaustion. It feels like frustration. It feels like you've reached the end of your strength. But what if that breaking point isn't there to destroy you? What if it's there to reveal you? Pressure exposes what's inside. When life squeezes you, what comes out is who you really are. And sometimes you don't even know how strong you are until strength is the only option left. A breaking point feels painful because it forces you to confront your limits. You realize you can't control everything. You can't fix everything. You can't force outcomes. And that realization can feel terrifying. But limits are not walls designed to stop you, they are thresholds meant to grow you. Think about it, every major shift in life usually comes after a moment of tension. A decision is made when staying the same becomes more painful than changing. Growth happens when comfort becomes uncomfortable. The breaking point is that space where who you were can no longer carry who you're becoming. Something has to stretch. Something has to expand. When everything in you wants to stop, that's usually where transformation begins. Anyone can keep going when it's easy. Anyone can believe when results are visible. But when you keep moving forward with no applause, no reassurance, no immediate reward, that's when something powerful is forming inside you. Endurance is being built. Character is being shaped. Faith is being strengthened. The breaking point strips away illusions. It removes pride. It silences distractions. It forces you to focus. You start to realize what truly matters and what doesn't. You stop chasing approval. You stop comparing timelines. You start depending on something deeper than your own ability. That shift is powerful. That shift changes everything. Sometimes the breaking point feels like everything is falling apart. But maybe it's just everything falling into place. Sometimes what feels like collapse is actually construction. Old mindsets break. Old fears break. Old limitations break. And when they break, space is created for something new. You may feel stretched beyond what's comfortable. But stretching increases capacity. You are being expanded. The weight you feel is not there to crush you, it's there to strengthen you. Just because it hurts doesn't mean it's harmful. Just because it's difficult doesn't mean it's wrong. If you're at the edge right now, don't assume it's the end. The edge is often where perspective changes. It's where courage rises. It's where you discover that you can do more, endure more, believe more than you thought possible. The breaking point is not your defeat. It is the birthplace of your next level. Just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it won't happen. Waiting can feel like silence, and silence can feel like rejection. You pray, you plan, you prepare, and still nothing seems to move. Days turn into weeks, weeks into months, and you start wondering if you misunderstood the promise. You start questioning your path. But delay is not denial. There is a difference between no and not yet. We often interpret closed doors as permanent endings when sometimes they are temporary pauses. Timing matters more than we realize. If certain blessings arrived too early, we wouldn't have the maturity to handle them. If certain opportunities came before we were ready, they could crush us instead of elevate us. Delay is not punishment, it is preparation. Think about seeds planted in the ground. For a long time, nothing is visible above the surface. It looks like nothing is happening. But underground, roots are forming. Strength is building where no one can see it. Growth is happening in hidden places. Just because it's unseen doesn't mean it's inactive. The waiting season is often the rooting season. Waiting develops patience. It develops endurance. It refines motives. Sometimes we think we want something for the right reasons, but time tests our hearts. If you still want it after the delay, if you're still willing to work for it after the silence, then your desire has been purified. Waiting reveals whether we're committed or just excited. It's easy to trust when everything moves quickly. It's harder to trust when progress feels slow. But slow progress is still progress. Every day you show up. Every time you refuse to quit. Every moment you choose faith over frustration, you are moving forward, even if it doesn't feel dramatic. Comparison makes delay feel heavier. You see others receiving what you're still praying for. You watch doors open for them while yours seem shut. But their timeline is not your timeline. Their preparation is not your preparation. What's meant for you will not require you to compete for it. It will align at the right time. Sometimes delay protects you from things you cannot yet see. There may be circumstances shifting behind the scenes. There may be growth happening inside you that is essential for what's ahead. If everything happened instantly, you would miss the depth that comes from waiting. Don't mistake stillness for abandonment. Just because you can't see movement doesn't mean nothing is happening. Trust is built in the quiet seasons. Faith grows strongest in the waiting rooms of life. If it hasn't arrived yet, don't lose heart. You are not forgotten. You are not overlooked. You are being prepared. And when the time is right, what is meant for you will unfold in a way that makes the waiting worth it. You cannot measure your destiny by your emotions. Emotions are real, powerful, and valid, but they are not reliable indicators of your future. They shift with circumstances, with conversations, even with lack of sleep. One day you feel confident and unstoppable. The next day you feel uncertain and behind. If you allow those changing feelings to define your direction, your life will constantly move in circles. Feelings are temporary, but purpose is permanent. There will be mornings when you wake up inspired, ready to conquer everything in front of you. And there will be mornings when you feel heavy for no clear reason. That emotional fluctuation does not cancel your calling. It does not erase your potential. It does not undo your progress. It simply means you are human. The danger comes when you let a temporary emotion make a permanent decision. Quitting because you feel discouraged. Walking away because you feel unappreciated. Shrinking back because you feel afraid. Emotions are loud in the moment, but they are not meant to be leaders. They are signals, not commanders. You may feel like you're failing, but feelings don't equal facts. You may feel forgotten, but feelings don't determine your worth. You may feel behind, but feelings don't control timing. When you start separating what you feel from what is true, you regain power. You realize that just because you feel weak doesn't mean you are weak. Just because you feel uncertain doesn't mean you are incapable. Purpose doesn't disappear when your mood changes. It doesn't shrink when your confidence dips. It remains steady even when you feel unstable. That's why discipline matters more than motivation. Motivation is emotional, it comes and goes. Discipline is a decision, it stays when emotions fade. Some of your greatest breakthroughs will happen on days you don't feel like showing up but choose to show up anyway. Strength isn't the absence of doubt. Courage isn't the absence of fear. They are decisions made in spite of those emotions. There will be seasons when everything feels aligned and clear. And there will be seasons when confusion clouds your vision. In those moments, you don't abandon your path. You anchor yourself in what you know, not in what you feel. You remind yourself of why you started. You remind yourself of who you are becoming. Don't let a bad moment convince you that you have a bad future. Don't let one disappointment rewrite the entire story of your life. Emotions fluctuate, but growth is often happening underneath the surface, quietly and steadily. Feel what you need to feel, but don't let feelings drive the car. Let purpose lead. Let truth guide. Let commitment anchor you. Because emotions change with the wind, but destiny remains rooted far deeper than how you feel today. Anything valuable faces resistance. The moment you decide to grow, to improve, to move forward, opposition appears. It can feel discouraging at first. You start wondering why it suddenly became harder. Why the pressure increased. Why obstacles showed up the moment you committed to change. But resistance is not a sign that you're on the wrong path. Often, it's confirmation that you're moving in the right direction. Think about how muscles grow. They don't grow in comfort. They grow when they are stretched, strained, and challenged. The weight you lift creates tiny tears in the muscle, and when those tears heal, the muscle becomes stronger. Growth requires tension. Without resistance, there is no development. The same principle applies to your character, your faith, your discipline, and your resilience. When you face challenges, it's easy to ask, why is this happening to me? But a better question might be, what is this producing in me? Hard seasons produce patience. Delays produce endurance. Criticism produces humility. Pressure produces strength. You may not enjoy the process, but you will appreciate the result. If everything came easily, you wouldn't value it the same way. Easy paths rarely lead to deep growth. They don't shape your mindset. They don't stretch your capacity. They don't prepare you for greater responsibility. Resistance forces you to dig deeper. It forces you to develop skills you didn't know you needed. It forces you to become stronger than you were yesterday. Opposition can also clarify your commitment. When things get hard, you discover whether you truly want what you're pursuing. Resistance separates casual interest from genuine dedication. If you're willing to endure discomfort for it, then it matters to you. And what matters to you is worth fighting for. Sometimes resistance comes in the form of doubt, your own thoughts questioning your ability. Sometimes it comes through external voices, people who don't understand your vision. Sometimes it shows up as unexpected setbacks. But none of these are proof that you should stop. They are invitations to grow. You are stronger than the resistance you face. Every time you push through discomfort instead of avoiding it, you expand your capacity. Every time you refuse to quit, you build resilience. The weight that feels heavy today will feel lighter tomorrow because you will be stronger. Don't fear resistance. Embrace it as training. Embrace it as preparation. Embrace it as evidence that something valuable is being formed inside you. The struggle is not there to break you. It is there to build you. Resistance is not your enemy. It is the tool that shapes you into who you are becoming. Look back at your life for a moment. There were seasons you were convinced would break you. Moments when the pressure felt unbearable. Nights when your thoughts were heavy and your heart felt overwhelmed. Situations that seemed impossible to survive. And yet, here you are. Still standing, still breathing, still moving forward. That alone is proof of strength. Sometimes when you're in the middle of a new struggle, you forget the battles you've already won. You focus so much on what's in front of you that you lose sight of what's behind you. But your past is filled with evidence of resilience. There were times you didn't know how things would work out, but they did. There were times you felt alone, but you made it through. There were times you doubted yourself, but you found a way. The same strength that carried you through those seasons is still within you now. You may not feel strong today. You may feel tired, drained, discouraged, but strength isn't always loud. Sometimes strength is simply getting up when you want to stay down. Sometimes it's choosing to try again when you'd rather quit. Sometimes it's holding on quietly while no one else sees the fight you're fighting. You've already proven that you can survive hard things. You've handled disappointment before. You've endured rejection before. You've adapted to change before. Every challenge you've faced has added something to you: wisdom, patience, courage. Even the painful moments shaped you into someone more aware, more understanding, more capable. It's easy to believe that this struggle is different, that this one might finally defeat you. But that's what you thought last time too. And you overcame it, not because it was easy, not because you had all the answers, but because you refused to give up completely. Resilience is built over time. It's not a single decision, it's a pattern of choosing to continue. And you have that pattern in your history. Your survival is not accidental. It's evidence of inner strength that you may underestimate but cannot deny. When doubt tries to tell you that you won't make it, answer with your story. When fear says you're not strong enough, remember what you've already survived. When discouragement whispers that you should quit, remind yourself that you've felt this way before, and you kept going. You are not fragile. You are forged. Every hardship has refined you. Every obstacle has strengthened you. You may bend under pressure, but you do not break easily. If you survived that season, you can survive this one too. The strength that sustained you before hasn't disappeared. It's still there, waiting for you to trust it again. What feels like a loss may actually be alignment. In the moment, a setback can look like failure. A closed door feels like rejection. A plan falling apart feels like a wasted effort. You invested time, energy, hope, and it didn't work out the way you expected. That disappointment can hit hard. It can shake your confidence and make you question your direction. But not every no is meant to stop you. Some no's are there to steer you. A setback doesn't mean you are off track. Sometimes it means you're being redirected towards something better suited for who you are becoming. You may have outgrown what you were chasing. You may have been aiming too small. You may have been trying to force something that wasn't aligned with your long-term purpose. Rejection can be protection. If certain opportunities had worked out, they might have placed you in environments that limited your growth. If certain relationships had continued, they might have distracted you from your focus. If certain plans had succeeded, they might have kept you comfortable instead of challenging you to expand. It's hard to see that in the moment. When something ends unexpectedly, it can feel personal. You might internalize it and think, I wasn't good enough. But sometimes it has nothing to do with your worth. It has everything to do with direction. A closed door doesn't define your value. It refines your path. Failure also clarifies what truly matters. When something falls apart, you're forced to evaluate. What did you learn? What would you do differently? What skills need sharpening? Setbacks reveal weaknesses, not to shame you, but to strengthen you. They expose areas that need growth so that next time, you are more prepared. The setback can also build resilience. Success is exciting, but struggle is instructive. When you face disappointment and choose to try again, you develop grit. When you adapt after a plan collapses, you become flexible. When you rise after falling, you become confident in your ability to recover. Sometimes the path you imagined was only a stepping stone. You thought it was the destination, but it was actually preparation. That job you didn't get, that opportunity that slipped away, that goal that didn't materialize, they may have been shaping you for something greater than you originally envisioned. A setup often feels like a setback because it requires trust. It requires believing that even when things don't make sense, they are still working together for your growth. It requires releasing the need to control every outcome and instead focusing on becoming better through the process. You are not defined by what didn't work. You are shaped by how you respond to it. What feels like a detour may actually be the road that leads you exactly where you're meant to be. The most dangerous moment in any journey is not the beginning, it's the middle, when you're tired. At the start, you have excitement. You have vision. You have energy. But as time passes and results don't come as quickly as you hoped, fatigue sets in. And fatigue has a voice. It whispers that it's pointless. It tells you nothing is changing. It convinces you that quitting would be easier than continuing. That's the moment you have to be careful. Because breakthroughs rarely happen at the beginning. They happen after persistence. They happen after you've pushed through doubt. They happen after you've proven that you're not just interested, you're committed. The temptation to quit often shows up right before progress becomes visible. You may feel like you've been trying for so long with nothing to show for it. You've prayed. You've worked. You've sacrificed. And you're wondering how much longer you can hold on. But growth is not always dramatic. Sometimes it's happening quietly, beneath the surface. Just because you can't see immediate results doesn't mean momentum isn't building. Quitting is permanent. Fatigue is temporary. When you're exhausted, everything looks worse than it is. Your dreams seem unrealistic. Your goals seem distant. Your strength feels depleted. But tiredness distorts perspective. What feels impossible today may feel manageable after rest, after encouragement, after one small win. Don't make final decisions in temporary weakness. Miracles, in whatever form they appear, often respond to endurance. Not just talent. Not just potential. Endurance. The ability to keep going when it would be easier to stop. The ability to believe when evidence is limited. The ability to take one more step when you'd rather sit down. You might be closer than you think. Progress doesn't always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it's one connection away. One opportunity away. One breakthrough away. If you stop now, you'll never know how near you were. Think about all the times in your life when something shifted unexpectedly. It didn't always happen when you planned it. It happened after patience, after waiting, after continuing despite uncertainty. This moment is no different. Stay a little longer. Try one more time. Adjust your strategy if needed, but don't abandon the vision completely. Rest if you must, but don't surrender. There is strength in pausing, but there is power in persisting. The urge to quit is often strongest right before something changes. Don't let temporary exhaustion rob you of lasting reward. Hold on, not because it's easy, but because what's ahead may be worth every step you almost didn't take. If this message blessed you, share it with someone who needs it.